On your feet!
Hey, where, where am I looking at this? All right, mute. All right, where else is that coming in through? Hi, everybody. Dang it. Now I don't know where. Where else is that coming in? Where, I got it here. I got it. I'm so bad at this. There it is. Found it. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. Welcome to the new Unapologetic American channel. 6 people watching now, although 2 of those are me. So I'm going to close one of my accounts. Although, hold on. Let me share this out to Twitter first, as you should all be doing. Not necessarily to Twitter, but wherever it is you like to share things. Is this my account? Share. Yes, I believe that's me. Home. Yes, that is me. All right. So shared to the Twitters. It's already out to Facebook, but what the heck? I'll share it to Facebook too. Everybody do the share. Everybody got to find. People got to find me again. I'm running off and hiding and doing the new channel thing again. And sorry I'm late. Right as I had started this show, or I had gotten this show ready to start, I got something in from Amazon, and the thing I got from Amazon was a new battery for my old phone, which has my old Google Authenticator on it, which means I can now go check my old cryptocurrency exchanges accounts to see if I left anything in any of them. And lo and behold, I think I've got about $500 or $600 worth of various cryptos in those little accounts. So free money. Well, not free money. It's my money, but like found, refound. I whatever. Plus, I want to get. Oh, by the way, happy Atheist Day, everyone. Happy Atheist Day. Y'all need Jesus, but this, you know. Anyways, so what I was doing, I was I was looking at some of my. So last crypto cycle, I really got into altcoins, and I collected some altcoins that I thought would do really well. But then Binance, you dirty dog Binance, decided that they would no longer service the United States of America. So I transferred all of my altcoins into Bitcoin. And for a little while, all I had was Bitcoin. And then last week I went back and I looked up some of those old altcoins. And if I had just 1 year ago, I was like, you know what? Altcoin season is bound to come back around. So I'm just going to take $1,000. If I'm just going to take $1,000 of all of my investment, and I'm just going to sprinkle it back into the altcoins that I have, I would be a multi-millionaire right now. It's like a series of unfortunate events. Hey, it's Doug TenNapel. Doug, I'm actually live streaming. You want to come on? Oh, you said to send the link on Twitter? Well, I will send the link on Twitter then. All right. Bye. All right, we're going to have a very special guest, Doug TenNapel. What's up, Eden?
Bye.
Oh, where are you going? College group? Oh, okay. Bye. Have fun. Say hi to everybody for me.
Actually, I probably will.
Okay, don't say hi to everybody for me. Thanks so much. All right. Link sent to the Doug man. So anyways, in the long grand list of whoops, I should have done it, making one tiny investment a year ago. I should have done it. So anyways, that got me back into thinking, you know what? I was really good at researching and picking great altcoins last time around. I need to get back into that. And so I'm going to I got to spend some time digging around, looking up some stuff. I've spotted a couple ones I really want to do some research on. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a crypto advisor, but I will post on the Discord the ones that I'm getting into, just so if anybody is interested, who Doug is certainly not interested, but if anybody else is interested, then you can follow my lead. What's up, Dougie?
I'm just putting my hand on these crosses here.
Ooh, those look like they hurt. Careful, those have
look at
nails in
that.
them.
I know. Ouch. I'm a thief. I'm the original thief on the cross. Look at me.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? I was working on this commission that I sold on Saturday night. It's Hothead and Lone Star.
Very
So
nice.
we did that during the Saturday night auctions, which is entirely too late for you. But,
yeah. Oh,
yeah. So
I used to show up for some of those. Oh man.
bye.
It about killed me.
Eden's going to church right now.
Oh, good man.
Edwin's in the chat. Edwin, if you're not busy, we could have Atheist Day 3-way.
Yeah, Edwin Booyah. Booyah.
So, Doug, why don't you explain what's going on with you these days? Jacked up, bro.
My channel got a second YouTube strike yesterday, so I can't post anything for 2 weeks. Did you see what I did to my banner?
Oh, no.
I changed it and put a message on my banner saying second channel strike.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way you can even talk to your channel.
Yep. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I went through and I changed some of my descriptions in my most recent videos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did that too. Yeah, I went in with the new channel link and everything and posted on my own thing. And I've been working on my mailing list for a while. I've got 32,000 names on my mailing list of my YouTube fans that are not comic book people. So it's like comic people are on one list. This one's on the other. Look at that. That's my new. So anyways, tell them about the new channel. I have a new channel. It's called Doug TenNapel and Exile Archives that I've been preparing for this eventuality. All of us need 2 channels at least. So I need subscribers. So if you guys want to subscribe, I'll be putting my content out there.
You know what? I'm going to give you 2 subscribers because I'm on here and I'm on. Hold on, I'm not sure what I have on the other screen, so let me take this down first.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Do it privately. But thank you. I'm milking it for everything I can get.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Atheist Day. And given atheists don't exist, how does Atheist Day exist? Fake holiday.
Hold on. In Exile archive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They just why did they get a day anyways?
Oh, because because everything atheist is copied after Christianity. So it's like if Christians get a holiday, atheists are all we're legit too, but we're not a religion, but we want everything the religion gets.
Yeah.
It's just like feminism with men. They're like, we're not men. We just want we want to be interchangeable with men, every right, every privilege, everything they have. You know what I mean?
We want to be interchangeable with men, but we want you to respect us as women.
Yeah. Atheists are the feminists of philosophy.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
DJ subbed. Right on. Everybody get in there and get your sub on. Sorry. Look, dude, after talking to you yesterday, I made this channel.
Good.
This is the new Unapologetic American channel.
I love it.
So
yeah, I'm really all for that, man. Separate channel. Totally just bury the needle. Very similar content on that channel because you can't just have one channel and do just what we usually do. We're just like, it's like total potpourri. Total like, I'll play guitar one day. I'll have a friend.
Watch me go steal fruit off my neighbor's trees.
I'll draw one day. That's how you kill a channel because YouTube doesn't know how to suggest it to anyone because it stands for nothing to the algorithm.
Mm-hmm. So, but religion and politics, especially conservative religion and politics,
good.
Those work.
Yeah.
Good ties that bind.
Yeah, a lot of overlap in all that. So it's really a strong brand. And if you think about it, I mean, even when we do comic book channels, we have some notoriety in comics and it gets you a couple hundred views or maybe a couple thousand if you're lucky. Well, I rarely got a couple thousand views on my comic channel, but half of America, in fact, probably 3/4 of America believe in God and consider religion, and half are conservative. So you've just blown your audience up as far as what YouTube knows about everyone and what it's trying to suggest to you. You just increased your audience 100-fold. There's hundreds of times more Republicans or people who believe in God than there are comic book and art fans.
Yeah, it's true.
And if your art channel is going to have a chance, we see art channels where they get like millions of views or whatever for doing art. Yeah. It needs you to just like totally bury the needle art and very much just that.
Yeah, and I keep thinking about doing that. I don't know, man. That's dedication. If you're going to start doing art video only, that's like your life. That's your job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, people do succeed at art and that channel. And with today, Mike, as a professional artist, there's no bigger marketing than YouTube and Facebook, but specifically YouTube. And
but the question becomes, can you be a professional artist and a professional YouTuber? Because the successful YouTubers in art that I've seen, the fact that they do art is just sort of the thing they do on YouTube. I don't see Mike Mignola is not going to come in here and start being a huge. Yeah. And even Dave Finch. I mean, he's doing well on YouTube, but he's not going to get millions and millions of subs doing what he's doing, because it's I'm
talking about that Proco guy. He gets millions.
P-R-O-K-O. Yeah, but what does he do professionally?
He does YouTube.
He does YouTube. That's what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that YouTube is the marketing. So if you're going to make it as an artist, like if you make it as a YouTuber, then you've already made it as an artist. Because PewDiePie right now could draw a Stickman book and make $1 million, or do a painting and do better than almost every artist we know.
Yeah, it's like what's that guy, Zach ZHC? It's like he was a I don't want to say a wannabe. He was trying to become a professional comic book artist, and then he stumbled on the fact that he could be doing these videos on YouTube. He blew up. I don't know what he's at, 16, 18 million subs, something like that. But now he's just the YouTube guy. He's thrown away that dream. I don't want to throw away that dream. This is my vision.
Art is king. This is the problem with all artists who are professionals, because you didn't become an artist to be a professional, right? You drew before you got paid. You loved it. And all of us did. We doodled or whatever, and we loved it. Well, as soon as you I got to a certain age and said, I want to be a professional artist. I want to get paid to do what I love. And now suddenly it's marketing and taxes and compromise and mass media to make enough money to float our families and stuff like that. You have to be a big artist. You can't just be a tiny nothing artist, selling drawings to 3 people, unless you're a painter, but I mean, you have to get the mass media. And I've always been okay with breaking away from mass media. But the moment I did, I would say, you're going to go off and get a job doing something else that pays the bill, and you're going to do your pure art in your own time. And now it doesn't have to get polluted with money.
Yeah.
Because
I always say the fastest way to lose that love for something is to get paid for it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just saying, even if you're a professional animator.
Yeah. I mean, think about prostitutes. They probably hate having sex.
Oh yeah,
they get paid for it. It's like totally ruins it.
That's just a job. It's a grind.
Yeah, right?
It's literally a grind.
That's.
Anyways, cross-examinations. Those atheists, huh?
Those atheists. They probably all want to get their shots.
Yeah, wearing their masks. Yeah, they believe in a God. It's strapped around their face and wrapped around their ears, and because they're all terrified of facing death. Yeah, look at that. They're like,
this is a mask I got because I didn't have a mask when I went to Home Depot. Yeah. They gave me this thing. Yeah. It's like
they're all Mike. I can't die because this is all I've got, Mike. I'm just worm food. I am meaningless worm food when I go in the ground. That's it.
Yeah, dude, my dad raised us agnostic, and one time
Yeah.
he told me that he's like, I've raised 2 sons to adulthood. My purpose for living is done.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is so sad. It's like
That was easy.
I've passed on my genetic code
Yeah.
successfully. It's like, bruh, that's not the meaning of life.
Nice try at grasping meaning, even at reproducing. It does bring a lot of meaning, but I'm saying it's not the ultimate meaning. It is ultimate. In fact, it is ultimate. Everything is ultimately meaningless
if you're
without
an
a God.
animal,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Animals aren't sentient. Animals don't understand that they even exist.
Yeah.
Right. They just live in fear of death or danger, more like.
Yeah,
more like danger than death. They have no concept of death.
No whale can ponder his grandfather.
Right.
No animal, no matter how smart, can ponder, the things that are outside of direct knowledge things. We can ponder philosophy and all this stuff just way beyond the animals. Even a very dumb human can do it. And a very, very smart animal can't even touch it. So I just feel bad for the atheist because every atheist is a believer in God, knows there's a God, and it is lying to themselves probably first and everyone else second and saying that they don't believe it because they all know that this giant effect has a cause caused by a great mind.
You know what? I'm gonna contradict you there in that I believe, just like a lot of people who are raised in the church believe there's a God, but they don't believe in God, right?
Yeah.
I was raised agnostic. So for me, it wasn't whether or not I just really never thought about it. Right. It was like such a non-issue in the way I was raised that it was like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like I chose not to believe. I was just, my dad just told us, you can't know. Right. That's sort of the thing. You can't know. So what's your morality?
I can't know and you can't know. But even now that you know there's a God, do you think about him? What percentage of your thoughts are present thinking about him? Like you're aware of him. I mean, anytime you think about him.
Yeah. I mean, I look at a tree. I just, now that I think about that, it is, forefront in my mind. It's like, I can't just look at anything and not think about, this world, this universe is designed from the subatomic to the galactic. And it's the idea, if you stop to think about it and you excuse all of that perfect design and then your appendix isn't perfect. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, the avicular foramen, the blind spot in the eye is proof there's not a God. Did you hear that?
Yeah. So
he's not perfect.
Design, and then you purposefully, in thinking about it, try to say that's all by accident. You're the fool, right? The fool the Bible describes. But I think there's people who were raised not to make an issue of not to think about it. The hardcore atheist, though, from my experience with people that I know that are hardcore, they're people that are mad at God. Something in their life. They lost their mother when they were 10. They lost their son. Their parents got divorced. Some traumatic event made them ask, why God? And God didn't answer them. And so they got mad and decided he didn't exist anymore. Right?
Yeah, they don't believe in God. They don't believe in God and they hate him.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, atheists out there, you can't help it that you're incoherent. But you ought to consider the gospel because it really is rational. If you claim to be rational, then I'm just saying, think about it and just think about it.
Yeah.
For a second, think about it.
And then there's, when you're raised in the church and you do hear the argument oftentimes that, atheists just don't want to be held to any sort of accountability. And I get that. right? I mean, I was an agnostic. My whole accountability thing was don't get caught. Whatever I wanted to do.
Well, I'm a
Don't-
Christian. I don't want to be held accountable. So I'm saying, why would atheists be any different? No one wants to be held accountable. That's just
Right.
human.
But if you can ignore the fact that there is someone who's going to keep you accountable, it's a lot easier to just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. My
Literally
problem
whatever
is,
the hell
is that
you want.
my sense was that my guilt wouldn't go away. It had to be dealt with, because I could sit there and just fool myself with it all day. And it didn't go away. I knew I was in the wrong. I knew there was something else. I knew there's something deeply wrong with myself and the universe. How's that?
Mm.
I'm gonna bring.
I guess I'm just a shallow prick because I didn't get that deep about it.
Well, we do know that about both you and I, about the shallow pricks. We are shallow pricks. That just doesn't contribute anything at this point, Mike. I brought up John 3:16 because everyone knows that verse is super famous, right? John 3:16. So I'm going to skip ahead. This is so you guys can all find this verse. I'm going to skip ahead to John 3:18, which explains why there's no atheists, no such thing. It says, John 3:18, whoever believes in him, they're talking about Jesus, is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. Verse 19, this is the verdict. So this is my verdict. I didn't make this up. I don't have a choice in the matter if I'm going to obey the Bible. This is the verdict, the conclusion. Light has come into the world, but men loved darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. So when atheists tell me they don't believe, I go, no, actually, the Bible says you just didn't want to submit to God because your deeds were evil. It's the verdict is light came into the universe. And it doesn't say, and some didn't believe because there wasn't enough evidence, and some didn't believe because they really were well-meaning and they had a great philosophical construct against God. I can't argue anything but the scriptures. In fact, even that verse that you were mentioning earlier, the fool says in his heart there is no God. It only says that he says it. It doesn't say that he believes it. He believes.
But he believes in his heart.
He says in his heart, there is no God. He actually believes in his heart, there is one. And that's also in Romans, right? I forgot where that verse is, but it's Romans.
Although the Bible also says the heart is wicked and desperately, is it wicked and desperately evil?
Yeah. I'm talking about the part where it says that God is on display through the physical properties he created or whatever it is. That verse is in Romans somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was saying now. It's like, dude, I'm looking at the tree outside. And I look at when I'm on a prayer walk or something, I just look at everything. Man sucks at designing stuff, right? We make this world relatively ugly. It's once in a while you can make something, but man, God just designed all of this stuff. It's all harmonious. I was even talking to I believe he's an atheist, but he's a painter, and he was talking about how nature creates these visual oases in trees. Like, so you'll have all of this green, but inside the green, you'll have a little bit of orange, a little bit of red, because it creates this visual oasis so that the monotony doesn't blind you. Wow. And he's talking about how the trees, nature designs the trees to be so visually appealing. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, bro, that wasn't nature.
They keep slipping into design language. Design is not something that nature does. That's a causative agent. Dawkins does this all the time too. He's since scrubbed it from all of his writing, but back in 1988, he talked about the appearance of design. So he's saying he recognized there's an appearance of design. Yeah. Everyone who's honest says there appears to be design, elegance, function, wonder, beauty. These are things that don't come from rocks, from physics, the second law of inertia, breaking everything down. Things tend to go from order to disorder. Suddenly,
you should check on my house, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look at my art closet,
dude. I've got a 1962 Carmen Ghia just parked out in the front, and it used to be in immaculate condition. I haven't done anything to it, and it's deteriorating right before my eyes.
Yeah. It's
breaking my heart.
it devolves.
It's devolving.
There's no such thing as evolve. There's devolve.
Yes. Welcome anybody that's new. Please do hit that subscribe button. This is Doug TenNapel. Please do. He's at Doug TenNapel in Exile archives right now because he is exiled.
I'm in jail. Exile. And everyone give this a thumbs up. I'm going to find the link to this channel so I can send people here. Hold on.
Thank you. So are you doing any videos on archives?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Daily. Okay. In fact, that's my big test is how many views do I get on similar material if I have 450,000 subs versus if I have, I'm up to 12,000 subs now. I went up 6,000 subs in a day. So those are my hardcore fans coming in to take care of me.
Well, you should get at least 3 or 4 from this show alone.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's going to be a neat test, right? Because it's easy to say, oh, Doug gets high views because he has subs. But now we're going to see, because I'm thinking it's about 1/10 to 1/4 of the views on the videos is what I think I'm going to get on this channel versus the other one. So,
well, it should blow up pretty quick, I think.
I mean, if they can find me, that's what's so weird is YouTube like cuts you off from your own audience. It's so stupid. I'm over here on your Twitter. Where's your show? Where's this show?
Should be my most recent shared. Here, I'll send it to you.
You have the Lone Star, the monster Lone Star cover is what. Oh, Atheist Customs. There we go. So I'm just going to send it out to my guys real quick. Hold on.
All right, cool.
Look.
Groovy. Stencil Artist on Twitter says, Atheist Day. I don't believe in it.
With Mike Miller on Atheist Day. Come join us as we make fun of their incoherent. They're incoherent. What's a good insult? They're incoherent. Cry baby little girl worldview. That'll bring them in, Mike. There you go.
That shall do it. They'll come rolling in.
Cry baby little girl worldview.
How long has Mike restrained himself from discussing crypto? I started with crypto when Doug came on. Not a big subject with Doug, so
yeah.
So
you can't serve God and mammon, even when mammon is like fake math.
It's all fake, dude. All money is fake.
I do agree with you on that, is that when I go like, Bitcoin, it's just, a bunch of fake math or whatever. It's like, yeah, so's the dollar. So's gold. So's silver. So's a diamond. The diamond's not worth.
It's 50 years, though, since this August, 50 years since we went off the gold standard, and thereby all of the world currency became imaginary.
I know, but that's also like 9/11 libertarian trutherism. Getting off the gold standard. Here come the triangle with the eye on top of it, and the Masons.
I mean, prior to 1970.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Usually, I hear this argument from all the libertarian conspiracy theorists going like, "And we got off the gold standard, and ever since then, the third eye opened up on the pyramid, and the Illuminati took over with the Jews." I'm going like, what? And the Rothschilds,
that's a couple steps
and Halliburton, and the Rothschilds and Halliburton conspired with Hearst. And I'm just going, okay, this is not about the gold standard, is it?
Yeah, all of that stuff sounds a little past my point.
Yeah, well, okay. I heard most of it from Ellis, so there you go.
Oh, really?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I know how the economics of it all set up. Different countries used to have to be on different standards, different metal standards. But I think it was like the 40s or something, they all decided to make the US dollar the standard.
Right.
So the US
we all
dollar,
know there's only one standard in the world anyways, Mike. It's whatever the US says it is. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
If we say it's the amount of tacos in your country, then it is the amount of tacos in your country. So gold standard, Bitcoin, whatever, the floating bank, the Dow, we decide, you report. There.
Sub to Doug, where Bitcoin talk is exiled. There you go.
That's right.
All right. It is. We are 30 minutes in, which means it is time to get into the Bible. The Bible. First chapter. We've been going through First Samuel. I love this book.
I know, but you're going to make me read First Samuel. What about all the God talk? What about atheists? Can't we look that up? Are you not doing? You're going through it all?
I'm going through the whole book. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right. And the Ziphites came unto Saul to Gibeah, saying, "Doth not David hide himself in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jeshimon?" Don't you love all the names? It's like
I can stand the names. I can't stand King James. That's all. That's even worse. That makes the word "the" into a name. Go ahead.
Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And I'll point this out again. The first time Saul found out where David was, he took everyone. He said all the men of Israel, and they all went after David, right? And then the Philistines attacked because all the men were gone. And so he had to withdraw his army. So every subsequent time, it seems like he's just selecting. I think last time he selected 6,000, and then this time he selects 3,000 chosen men. And so his army's getting smaller and smaller as he's chasing David around the universe.
And how is Saul related to David?
He's unrelated.
He's unrelated. Okay. I keep getting him mixed up with Absalom, David's son. So Saul isn't like an uncle or something. He's not a crazy uncle.
No. Saul's a Benjamite. David is from Judah.
Okay.
So Saul, and Saul pitched in the hill of Hachilah, and is before Jeshimon by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. David therefore sent out spies, and understood that Saul was come in very deed. You hate the King James, huh?
Was come in very deed. Yeah.
Come in very deed. And David arose and came to the place where Saul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Saul lay, and Abner, the son of Ner, the captain of his host, and Saul lay in the trench, and the people pitched around about him.
Was this when he steals a piece of his cloak?
No. You mean when he was on the crapper? No, that was a couple chapters ago. This is where he steals
a piece of cloak to show that he could have killed him, right? That was a threat.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And at that point, Saul's like, "Oh, my son, why am I doing this? You are going to be king." And then the next time he hears where David is, he goes after him again because he's bipolar. I think Saul's bipolar. I mean, the way I read this.
He was under the influence of a dark spirit.
Same difference.
Yeah.
Then answered David and said to Ahimelech the Hittite, "How come David had so many Hittites in his band?"
I don't
Interesting. And to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, the brother of Joab, saying, "Who will go down with me to Saul to the camp?" And Abishai said, "I will go down with thee." So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Saul lay sleeping within the trench, and his spear stuck in the ground at his bolster. But Abner and the people lay round about him. Then said, man, they must have been like ninja. Then said Abishai to David, "God hath delivered thine enemy into thine hand this day. Now therefore let me smite him, I pray thee. And the spear, with the spear, even to the earth at once, and I will not smite him a second time." And David said to Abishai, "Destroy him not, for who can stretch forth his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless?"
That's interesting.
I come across this. I don't know. Do you know if, he was anointed, but God took the spirit from him, right, and gave it to David?
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works, because I keep reading this, that God had anointed, or that David considered him anointed, but it's like David was the anointed one.
Yeah. I don't think they mean it in the charismatic way of anointed. I think he means it in David understands that it is God's will that he not kill Saul. Not because of an inherent quality of Saul, but because he's following out a long-term plan with God.
Right.
Back then they weren't they weren't unclear on the idea that oftentimes you go through suffering and God chooses when a king rises up and goes down.
All right. Sometimes you need an Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
David said furthermore, as the Lord liveth, the Lord shall smite him.
There you go.
For his day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle and perish. The Lord forbid that I should stretch forth mine hand against the Lord's anointed. But I pray thee, take thou now the spear that is at his bolster and the cruse of water, and let us go. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Saul's bolster, and they gat them away, and no man saw it or knew it, neither awaked, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord was fallen upon them. So not ninja, just God knocked them out cold.
Heavenly narcolepsy.
Yes. Then David went over to the other side and stood atop a hill afar off, a great space being between them. He must have been very loud, by the way. And David cried to the people and to Abner, the son of Ner, saying, Answerest not thou, Abner? Then answered and said, Who art thou that criest to the king? Which, that's curious, because Abner's not the king, but I don't know. Maybe he feels like he's Kamala Harris or something.
Maybe of his tribe?
No, because Abner's the right-hand man of the king, right?
Huh.
But he's being called out directly. And David said to Abner, Art not thou a valiant man, and who is like thee in Israel? Wherefore then hast thou not kept thy lord the king? For there came one of the people in to destroy the king thy lord. This thing is not good that thou hast done. As the Lord liveth, ye are worthy to die, because ye have not kept your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the cruse of water that was at his bolster. You want to read some of this?
Yeah. And Saul knew David's voice and said, Is this thy voice, my son David?
My son David.
And David said, It is my voice, my lord, O king. And he said, Wherefore doth my lord thus pursue after his servant? For what have I done? Or what evil is in mine hand? Now therefore, I pray thee, let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If the Lord have stirred thee up against me, let him accept an offering. But if they be the children of men, cursed be they before the Lord. For they have driven me out this day from abiding in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Go, serve other gods. Ooh. Now therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord. For the king of Israel is come out to seek a flea, as when one doth hunt a partridge in the mountains. Yeah, that's like seeking a flea. Then said Saul, I have sinned. Return my son David, for I will no more do thee harm, because my soul was precious in thine eyes this day. Behold, I have played the fool and have erred exceedingly. He uses adverbs. And David answered and said, Behold, the king's spear, and he holds up his spear, and let one of the young men come over and fetch it. The Lord render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness, for the Lord delivered thee into my hand today again. But I would not stretch forth mine hand against the Lord's anointed. And behold, as thy life was much set by this day in mine eyes, so let my life be much set by the eyes of the Lord, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation. Then Saul said to David, Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt both do great things, and also shalt still prevail. So David went on his way, and Saul returned to his place.
Yeah, until next time.
Yeah, something tells me this ain't going to stick. And it's weird. This has the same rhythm of the grabbing a chunk of Saul's cloak on the crapper.
Yeah. Mike needs to have Doug read the passages more often. He does it so well. Jeff Potts kissing your hiney.
Good man.
Eileen says, but I like when Mike does the goofy voices. All right. So yeah, it's weird. It's not like Romans or Hebrews or something where you're like getting all of this doctrine out of it, but it is the story and the Old Testament to me, even from when I first started reading the Bible back in like 93, 94, something like that. It's these grand stories that I love, and just kind of talking the way through the stories and more getting into the nitty gritty of like what's motivating these people and what's like Saul. I from a modern perspective, I totally think he's bipolar. I think he's like, he kind of believes in God, but he really just wants his power and he really wants his son to be king, but he knows God has anointed David to be king.
And
so
these are primitive cavemen. I mean, these men are like, they're almost like animals. They didn't have cell phones. They could read and write and stuff like that. But this is like, ancient history. So like their egos are just so inflated. There's nothing to mitigate it. There's no human resources department or something. So like it's raw. It's just so raw. And so I love the idea when David, he has no tools, and here he is twice now sparing Saul solely so that Saul will learn through empathy how to spare him, is what he keeps hoping for, right? And we see some of those kinds of tests in the New Testament where men are testing God, and God is using these tests to prove that they're wrong, to prove that their motives are not moral. And so even back then, you'll see a constant. I'm only saying, even if you look at, say, Comicsgate, you'll see that exact kind of trade taking place between two modern men of, hey, I thought if I did this merciful thing on you, maybe you can turn around and do it to me. That's an incredibly universal thing. It didn't just happen back then. It's a universal human trait.
And then Saul picks up his javelin and tries to stick you to the wall.
Yeah.
Jason says the Old Testament is just as important as the New Testament. Of course it is. It's
just
God.
not, for me, it's just not as fun to read. It's weird because I write stories, but I don't read stories. I read philosophy. So the dense theology in the New Testament is more what I'm interested in. And if I do read something that is of the ancient stories, I read Genesis hundreds of times. Genesis, Job, Ecclesiastes, Jonah are the ones that they're very compact stories,
If you had a year of having nothing else to do and you were like, I'm going to do a Bible story as a graphic novel, which one will you do?
I mean, to me, Job is the most, because Job is about what does virtue have to do with reward? And so it's a very frustrating book. I mean, to me, Genesis is just a bizarre, I would do Genesis. I would do the first 4 chapters of Genesis, basically.
Yeah. I would do Joshua. I love Joshua.
Yeah.
I would, and I'd do it with giants and dinosaurs and everything.
And King David. I mean, it's a total
Samuel.
soap opera. Those books are just, I told you I wrote a series with Brian Godawa that we pitched to Rich Peluso as like a 300 called House of David. And it was wonderful.
Yeah, because he's such a badass warrior. And that kind of usually gets you see little David with a slingshot, which he wasn't. He was a grown man. Yeah. And then you see King David on the throne, right? But it's like all of Samuel is like, and David went out and smote 200 Philistines. And then it's like, dude was like Samson, right?
It's a bloodbath and a soap opera with what's her face, Bathsheba, and his son, whom God takes, and he's in the morning, and I just think
his first wife taken away from him, and
it's a huge soap opera, like Sopranos, kind of thing. It would play out really well with lots of action. It just kind of, to me, it's so promissory. Like David it almost doesn't matter because he's really just pointing to Christ, the son of David.
Yeah.
Otherwise, his whole story would be meaningless.
Well, that's what all of the Old Testament is, though.
Yeah.
It's all a setup.
That's what I mean. It's all pointing forward. So I just want to get to the good stuff of what it's pointing at. Like, I'm more interested in reading post-Christ history of Paul than pre-Christ history of David. That's all.
That's fair enough. There needs to be a Game of Thrones style TV mature show. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the budget. I don't know if we want to get quite that Game of Thronesy with David, but
Just green screen everything like Snyder did with 300. It'd be great. Just green screen.
Yeah.
High
There you go.
contrast, limited. You know, you just keep it. If you focus on a battle, you focus on the small. You know, we never need to see another 5,000 people running down on two hills and smashing in the middle ever again, right? We don't.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that already? Anyway?
8,000 times. I just don't need to see that event again. But for the atheists out there, there's got to be a non-believer out there, Mike. You got to make a final appeal.
For what?
For salvation, fool.
Oh, well, we got like 14 minutes left,
Okay.
so it doesn't have to be final.
Okay.
But yeah, Atheist Day. If you're an atheist and you came in here, I mean, I don't know, what is the argument? Because it's funny. I grew up agnostic, and to me, it was finally realizing or coming to a place where I saw that you should, at least open your mind up to the possibility. And then if your mind is actually open, that's the thing with a lot of atheists. Their minds are just closed, right?
No.
I don't want to believe in God. Therefore, I will not consider any evidence to the contrary. Everything that I've been taught about evolution growing up is fact. And anybody who believes anything slightly different or contradictory to Darwin is obviously an idiot, right? So, and that's how they dismiss everything. That's how they dismiss. You could be a PhD, right, in biology, in evolutionary science. You can be a PhD, and as soon as you say, I think the evidence points to a creator, you're an idiot. You're a freaking lunkhead, or you're insane, or you're, whatever. And that's just being closed-minded, period. If you open up your mind to the possibility and you're capable of looking at all the evidence without bias, which I know it's a lot easier said than done.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah. But that's how I became because once I was a Christian, I was still a evolutionist, right? I was a theological, however they phrase it, I forgot how it's called. But it was because I no longer was rigidly necessitating an origin without God, that I could look at the evidence with an open mind and say, it doesn't matter. When I already believe this, I believe I'm saved. I believe in the Bible, but I believe the day age thing and all that stuff. But these guys over here have some other evidence that I can look at. And as I started researching that evidence, I'm like, wow, there's so much evidence of a young earth and so much evidence against life arising out of non-life. It's like literally a mathematical impossibility.
Yeah.
That I moved to the young earth creationist side of that.
Yeah.
But that's when you're an atheist and you say there is no God, you have to find reason to excuse the evidence. Right?
Yeah.
I love those scientists out there who become creationists first. Yeah. And then they're like, well, crap, now I have to believe in God, and then they become Christians, right? Yeah. That's like my favorite story.
I was very much an evolutionist for most of my life, at least in my youth, because I was raised on PBS and public school and all that. And my dad raised me non-Christian, and he was an atheist. Christian now, but I mean, back then he raised me, and I was just like kicking and screaming, going like, but it doesn't make sense. Who made this? Blah, blah, blah. And, but I started reading a lot of the books on creationism, and I'm still iffy on if I'm young earth or not. I'm 100% a creationist, and I 100% don't believe in it. I haven't never seen evidence for evolution. So once I read all the books on it, then I started going, wow, I was dismissing these people as crackpots, and now I read it, and there's a lot of good stuff here. To me, it doesn't win the day. It's enough to where I go, someone can say that they are pro science and be a young Earth creationist. Absolutely.
Yeah. You've seen Exposed or Expelled?
Yeah. In the theater.
In the theater. Yeah. So Expelled is this movie by what's
Ben
his
Stein.
name? Ben Stein.
Who did
And
a
he
voice
goes-
for me on Earthworm Jim. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He played a
Awesome.
demon. Okay.
Jim.
Yeah, Jim. Oh,
But
fascinating.
he goes through and he interviews a bunch of scientists who are creationists and it just completely is exposed the fact that the Church of Darwinism blackballs just like you can't be a conservative in Hollywood. You can't be a believer in creationism in science because they will cut you off. You can be the smartest man on the planet, but they won't publish your articles. They won't approve your experiments or whatever. They'll fire you if they can, if you don't have like really good tenure.
Yeah, and they didn't just methodically and with rationality cut them off. It's they persecuted them. So suddenly, to me, when you're persecuting someone for their beliefs, you have a weakness of your own argument. It actually shows a weakness in your own argument. So that's my other thing, with atheists is, you're going to believe something anyways. You really don't have an option to say, I don't believe in a religion, because if you look at what atheists and liberal, progressive secularists do is they have constructed it's every bit of religion. And just because there isn't a evil, Skyman bad, spaghetti monster bad God at the top doesn't mean it's not a religion, and it doesn't have its apostates and its sins and its holy texts, and it has every form of a religion. So I'm only saying, don't fear religion because you're in one already. I don't care who you are. You're soaking in it, Madge.
Yeah, I was, you and I guess both grew up steeped in that, and you're like, even when I became a Christian, I was like, yeah, but I don't believe in organized religion, right? But then you're like, so you believe in disorganized religion?
Yeah, I'm okay with being called religious. I am. I'm very religious. It just didn't win the day. I wasn't looking for that, so that's not how I define myself.
Yeah,
I was looking for forgiveness for my sin, and I found it.
Yeah. So. When did you, like for me, like I said, I was doing all this study, and I was, studying the uniqueness of the Bible as being written, as Chuck Missler says, as a message system from outside of time and space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of these things, the scientific and medical foreknowledge, the prophecy, that all the stuff. Even Jesus himself said that if you don't believe Moses and the prophets, you won't believe if a man rises from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the prophecy that it's like the blockchain. It's an immutable, unchangeable fact of history that these people were speaking history in advance. And he sets up the rules that not even the angels, not the most powerful angels, know the future. Only God alone. And thereby, I tested that against, and I started going out and I'm looking for prophecy in any other religion.
Mm-hmm. That came true. Mm-hmm.
It's only in the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. It's only in the Bible and the stuff the Quran cribbed from the Bible, right? And so from that, I came to a conclusion that this book was written either by time-traveling space aliens determined to rule the world or God. And so I opted with God, but and I accepted Christ, but it was weird. I don't remember the moment until I voiced it, because Ben Herrera, right? He was kind of the one who was giving me all this Chuck Missler stuff.
Cool.
He came over to my house one day, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And I told him all that stuff that I just said, and he's like, "Oh man, that's awesome! Now you just have to accept Christ in your heart." And I said, "I think I did." And that's the moment I remember voicing it.
When you verbalized it,
right? And it says that in the Bible, like when you believe in your heart and you speak with your mouth.
It just comes.
So, do you remember that? A moment like that?
Well, I was 5 years old when now I had no religious anything other than my grandmother was on her deathbed and she was watching a televangelist. This is the Pentecostal grandma, was watching Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. And Tammy Faye Baker looks at the screen and looks at the camera and says, if any of you want to accept Jesus, call the number at the bottom of the screen. I turned to my grandma, my brother and I, and we said, let's call. And so I got on the line and Tammy Faye Baker talked to me and led me to Christ on the phone.
No.
Yeah. And I remember crying and everything. Now, I didn't know what I was doing, but I said the sinner's prayer. I do believe in that moment that God set me aside. Now, I lived largely a secular life, right? Because we didn't go to church or anything. 4th grade, the little Nazarene bus started picking me up because one of my good friends went to church. And, I've been saved 10 times. God, I have a sense that like I could do no other. Like God was going to have me no matter what. So
yeah.
now obviously in the last 30 years, as we study apologetics and all these other things, Greek and Hebrew and the Bible and all that stuff and literature, we strengthen our faith. I was set aside back then. Now I have very good arguments for what I believe. And back then it was really just God setting me aside. And now it is, once you read that material, I was convinced. I became the most dangerous Christian ever.
That's why I think it's so fundamentally important, and something that most Christian parents don't do is to build that foundation, that apologetics foundation, so that because they're going to go out in the world and they're going to meet people that are smart, articulate, have these great arguments that if they're not equipped to hear them, that's like, it's like, oh yeah, well, she went to college and then her professor told her all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And it's like that you have to build that, you have to pour that concrete foundation of faith and apologetics when they're young, before they're outside of your reach. Right.
And it's still a dance, with my 4 kids, they all believe and they all have apologetics. But there's no amount of apologetics and belief that can counter if that John 3:18 and 19, man, and this is the verdict, light came into the world, but man turned away because his deeds were evil. Yeah. You can always choose evil or selfishness and be your own God. There's no bulletproofing that through enough argument and rationality and belief and religion and things like that, because sometimes people just flat out, this is something Nate Wilson told me, the author of 100 Cupboards, said, every time we choose to sin, we become a mini atheist. Like we choose in that moment not to believe and just go la 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 la, and then I'm going to sin. That it's just it's a dance. It's a lifetime dance. I only know that I'm set aside and I'm made holy by what God did, and that's where my confidence comes. I'm so confident in God. I have so much trust in Him that I'm just like, dude, everything is in your hands. 100. I do not worry. And that's why people, they see me as kind of an asshole, because they demand that I worry and they demand that I care and they demand that I buckle under, say, social norms or conversations. I'm like, you don't understand. I just philosophically, to the depth of my being, don't care. I love you and I don't want to insult anyone or anything, but I'm trying hard to put your words together to win an argument. And it is utterly dismissed. There's no content. I'm looking for content.
Yeah. Jeff says, atheism fails because it provides no comfort when the world turns cold and the future goes dark. Do you remember, I don't remember his name, but he was Franklin Graham's partner in crime, partner in evangelism, like in the early days. And for years they would go out and do their crusades together. And one day this guy, and I wish I could remember his name, but he became an atheist. And he left. Franklin went on to become Franklin Graham. And they remained friends, you know, their whole lives. But on this guy's like deathbed, I guess, you know, I think it was Franklin Graham went to visit him, and he said, you know, is there anything, you know, I can pray for you for, or something like that? And the guy just said, he just started crying. He says, I miss Jesus.
Wow.
You know, it's like, but that's, you know, what Jeff says, that totally, yeah, man.
Yeah. It's a story.
If you
It seems too good to be true. And that's the wonder of it, is there really is good.
Yeah.
You really can. And I don't mean just like a little bit of good for our time and a little bit of pleasure. And, oh, isn't that quaint? Isn't that neat? No, it is a deep penetrating good. It is the greatest form of good. At the start of the whole world, before anything went wrong, there was good that goes in eternity back, is actually at the foundation.
Yeah.
And it actually takes a lot of bravery. It's a terrifying good if you think about it. And it is, it cannot be negotiated with.
I think that's a good place to leave it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Doug, thank you for being my guest on Atheist Day. God bless all you guys. If you're new here, please do subscribe. Make sure you get over to Doug TenNapel in Exile Archives. You have to write that whole thing down. It's in the chat. It's in the chat. God bless you all. We'll see you in the next exciting episode. Cross examinations.